plant-based diets are good for a number of things, including your health, the planet, and they can even help save animal lives. But can a plant-based diet help save you money? That's exactly what the researchers wanted to find out in this study that was published in the Journal of Planetary Health. And today we're going to be talking about whether or not plant-based diets can actually save you some money and maybe even some time. Hey everyone, my name's Amy and I'm a certified personal trainer and nutrition student. I've heard lots of people say that vegan diets are more expensive than a omnivore's diet. Part of that is true when you specifically look at vegan replacement options. Vegan meat replacements do tend to be more expensive than your animal-based options. However, a vegan diet doesn't exactly have to be expensive, and when you look at a healthy and planet-healthy one, it doesn't actually have to be. So, this study utilized 450 different types of food that were found around the world to analyze average prices across different regions and different countries to see if a flexitarian, vegetarian, pescatarian, or vegan diet would be more or less expensive than the typical diet in that area. These were not just any sort of diets that they were looking at. These were specifically healthier versions of these diets. The plant-based diets, such as the vegetarian and the vegan diet, focused on having 100 grams of plant-based protein a day, and the ones that still included meat, like the pescatarian diet, which included fish, and the flexitarian diet, which sometimes includes other types of meat, had a maximum of 2 servings per week of each of those types of meat. So we're looking at some very specific diets here. They were doing this because they wanted to see the cost of more environmentally friendly diets specifically. And when they did this, they also did 2 versions of each of those diets. They did a grain-based and a vegetable-based version. Now, one final thing to note about this is that they did include climate change and illness costs in their modeling for these diets. So, the average global price of food in 2017 was $5.7 per person per day. In low-income regions of the world, it was $3.7, and in richer regions of the world, it was $7.5. So the split of how people spent money on food is the following. For low-income countries, costs were split 33% to 35% on staple crops, typically grains, 11 to 27% on legumes, 11% on meat, 9 to 14% on vegetables, and 9 to 12% on fruit. Whereas for the high-income countries, costs were split 32 to 34% on meat, 18% on grains, 11 to 24% on vegetables, and 8 to 9% on fruit. Now, this is important information to note because meat actually happens to be the most expensive portion of a person's diet. Looking at the results of their mathematical models, they found that the pescatarian diets, the flexitarian diets, and the high vegetable vegan diets were between 1 to 14% more expensive than the global average. However, on the other hand, the vegetarian, vegan, and high grain vegan diet options were actually less expensive by 6 to 11%. Now, different results were found for different regions of the world. In richer nations, they found that the vegetarian, vegan, and high vegetable pescatarian diets were all less expensive than the average diet in the area. The high-grain vegetarian and vegan diets were found to be between 22 and 23% less expensive, whereas the high vegetable counterpart were between 17 and 27% less expensive. On the other hand, in low-income nations, all the diets they were looking at were actually more expensive. So, in the words of the study itself, across the dietary patterns, the relative affordability was largest for vegetarian and vegan diets that focused on legumes and whole grains in place of animal products in current diets. So it seems like, according to this study, that plant-based diets are less expensive especially if you live in a richer area of the world, such as the United States. Now, this study is wonderful because it is the first study looking at this done in a scientific journal. However, it's not the first data collection that was done on whether or not vegan diets are less expensive. Last year, Veganuary published this on their website, which was data collected from 11,000 people over a series of 52 weeks. They had people fill out a food diary so that they can use that to figure out the average cost of everything that they were purchasing and of their meals. Now, with this, I'm going to be explaining the prices in dollars instead of pounds, but that's because they actually provided the dollar amount in posting their data. They found that vegans spent about 8% less overall than omnivores on their grocery bills. They also found that the average omnivore lunch or dinner was about $2.36, whereas the average vegan lunch or dinner was found to be $1.41 instead. And another really interesting thing they found was that vegan meals were actually quicker to cook. While a omnivore's meal took about 18.9 minutes for a lunch, a vegan lunch was 12 minutes. For a dinner, the same sort of thing was found, with a omnivore's dinner being 37.5 minutes, whereas a vegan's dinner was about 25.4 minutes to cook. Overall, it looks like if you live in a richer area of the world, on average, a vegan diet is going to be less expensive than a conventional diet. Now, naturally, there's other factors that go into this as to whether or not you actually have access to vegan food or not. On average, you might just save some money eating plant-based. All right, thank you so much for watching this video all the way through. Please hit the like and subscribe for more content. Also, all of the citations for the studies that were used in this video are down in the link in the description box. It'll bring you to my website and you can read them all there. Again, I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you always remember to love God, eat greens, and get moving. See you in the next video.